You are listening to the Gate 7 International Podcast, a podcast connecting Olympiakos fans from Melbourne to Baltimore, from London to Piraeus. We are 4 Olympiakos fans from every corner of the world, bringing you news and interviews of the team you love in English. With new episodes twice a week, you'll never lose the latest updates and stories of the team you love. This is our team, our city, and our land. Man Aoniro Thrylos. You're listening to the Gate 7 International Podcast.
Welcome to the Gate 7 International Podcast, your official source for all things Olympiakos FC and Greek football. My name is Peter Thompson. Sorry if I'm going to be a bit of a emotional. We've just witnessed quite a bit of a game here. I'm here with my co-host, Adi Bulubasis. We are going to chat a little bit about some transfer stuff. We're also probably going to end up talking a little bit about the Euro Cup that just ended. We've just witnessed one hell of a penalty shootout. It is confirmed not coming home, as you can see from the background here. But crazy stuff in football. Have to hand it to both teams for an insane game. Both great competitors. But we'll get into that a little bit. If you guys have something you want to hear us talk about, feel free to jump in the comments and give us some thoughts, whether it's about the game, whether it's about Olympiakos. We've already got F Italy. I'm being told to change the flag. I will not be changing the flag. England won, maybe I wouldn't have the flag up, but I mean,
the best thing for the sport happened, which was an England loss. The best thing for the sport happened, guys. That's we'll get into that a little bit.
I feel
later,
a little bit bad for Costa, so I'm gonna not, I always say, like, I got what I wanted already. I'm not going to be, too boisterous here, but tears, the English journalist's tears do taste good. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, a few intro notes, as we always do have. Remember, everyone, we have a friendly coming up for Olympiakos. This one's against Galatasaray. If you missed the friendlies in Austria, which were a bit hard to get your hands on, to be fair, they will be available on Mega. So, or the Galatasaray friendly will be available on Mega. So that one might be a bit easier to watch, and we'll probably see a pretty strong team, at least for the first half. So it might be worth tuning in, seeing what we're going to be looking at with Olympiakos next season, and getting a preview at some of our new players. Additionally, Tomas Vaclik, the head coach of Olympiakos DC, will be coming on next weekend, Sunday, July 18th, to chat about the Olympiakos DC Academy, what the project is about, coaching philosophy, all that fantastic stuff. We're going to say it more, but we would like to congratulate him for a fantastic first season, really. Absolutely smashing expectations and laying the groundwork for a lot of good things to come. So we're really excited to see what he's got for us. And then I believe we also have a note about AHEPA, Adi's favorite organization for promoting Greeks and Hellenism around the world.
Boys and girls, well, actually, AHEPA technically is for guys. The girls' organization is Daughters of Penelope. So either one, check out your local chapter. Go to hepa.org if you guys want to do something or be involved in any type of diaspora volunteering or things that go on to support the motherland. Check it out. Go to hepa.org or DM me if you're trying to look to find where a chapter could be for you. Hit me up and I'll help you find that.
There you go. You heard it here. Additionally, we would like to say thank you to our sponsor, Piraeus International. Piraeus International has been helping Greeks ship to and from the motherland during COVID-19. Shipments to Greece are going out from Baltimore, Maryland every month. Fill any large U-Haul box, 18 by 18 by 24, send it to our friends in Baltimore, and it will be shipped to the port of Piraeus for only $50. Better yet, fill any large wardrobe box and send it for $100. Give them a call at 410-675-4696 or send an email to sales@piraeusintl.com. So we've got a little bit of Olympiakos transfer news. Well, we'll jump into that stuff. If people want to hear about the Euros, we'll talk about that as well. But I mean, the first one, maybe we can talk about Adi, and the name is Marcus Edwards. Ironically, this is an English player, although he's not playing in the Premier League or anything. He's playing in Portugal. And he's currently with Guimarães, Vitória Guimarães, which, if you'll recall, is the team that we bought Pepe from. It is also one of the teams that Pedro Martins previously coached at. So maybe this is just being speculated because of the relations with the club, and it's sort of just like Greek press, boosting stuff up. But he's a talented young winger from England. To be honest with you, Adi, partially because of the English tax, as I like to call it, as well as just the fact that he's young and he is very good. And he came from the Tottenham Academy, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think this guy's out of our price range. To be honest, yep. I'm not really taking this too seriously. Nope. But of course, it's the type of thing that gets in the English press. A talented English player. He's boys with Marcus Rashford and all the young English guys that were on the pitch today. So it's definitely, the type of rumor to get the attention of the Greek press, but I don't really take it that seriously.
Neither do I. If we're struggling to pay for Pavon, the $7.5 million for Pavon, there's no way we're paying it's 10 million, I think was the price tag or something like that. Forget it.
His transfer market value is higher than that as well.
Yeah, it's not happening. It's not happening. But speaking of 10 million,
Adi, you've got a big transfer for us, don't you here?
Our ex-coat of the season has just made a move to Sporting Lisbon for 10 million. Ruben Vinagre, boys and girls, our coat of the season, is in Portugal. He has signed for Sporting. Good luck to you there. And I hope that they don't have to witness what we witnessed in Greece.
I saw they tweeted something out and they were like, the lion is here. And I think we all had a good laugh about that. I
Hilarious.
think it was Lambro, or maybe Lambro through the official account posted like a little stuffed lion. I was trying to find like a lion skin coat, like a coat with like lion fur or whatever. But I guess it's probably a good thing they don't make those, because it's probably like illegal poaching or whatever. Sparos asks, Ruben is on loan. No, they've bought him. He's a Sporting player now. So yeah, I mean, he's made the big move. He's left Wolves. Maybe he's going to do it in Portugal. We'll see what happens with him. Another small note that we have with news is a reminder that we will be finding out our first Champions League opponent soon. That's going to be one of Dynamo Tbilisi and Neftchi Baku. Those are two teams from Georgia and Azerbaijan, respectively, that are currently facing off in the first leg. So they will play next week. They got done with their match in the first week, and I might be mistaken, but I believe Baku took the first leg 2-1. Adi, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But either way, we'll be seeing who we will be facing, and we should know by the end of next week. Reminder that away goals do not matter. I couldn't tell you who's at home for that first game, and it doesn't matter. Because, if the second fixture goes the other way, it'll be extra time and penalties in wherever the game will be played. So as soon as we figure out who we're going to have, we're going to start getting some scouting stuff ready. Adi's going to go through the Y Scout data as he always does. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I guess, Adi, we can start off. We have a deep dive coming up, but maybe the first thing we can start off with is some Euros talk. We've got a comment here, Gareth Fraudgate. Now, we have to say, like, I think maybe we just start with the penalties. I'm a sucker for a good penalty shootout, Adi. I don't know how you feel about it. I think we can all acknowledge it's a bit of a coin flip. In terms of deciding who's actually the better team. Maybe it's not the best tool, but like, damn it, if it doesn't get your blood pumping, like, oh my goodness. So, and it's obviously very simple to analyze as well. Like, we think about, it's just a striker versus a penalty taker versus a keeper. Jordan Pickford made a couple massive saves. We really have to say that. Like, he was in his bag, stopping some of those shots. The Jorginho one was especially impressive. And what it shows me is Jorginho's the type of player you have to really watch a lot and figure out. Yep. So, we can tell that Jordan Pickford's been on the Y Scout. He's been putting in those hours looking at Jorginho's penalties, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do and made a really nice save. Just got enough hand on it to take it out. But at the end of the day, the story is going to be England. 3 players to make 3 penalties. At the end of the day, they only had to make one of those 3 ultimately to, keep themselves in the game. And they missed 3 in a row. And, Southgate is coming under fire now because, to be fair, I'm not a professional footballer. I've never been in the penalty shootouts. I honestly, I'd guess it's probably Southgate saying who does what, but I could also see a situation where it's the players deciding who wants to take a penalty. But there are a few things that I think was weird, but I think were weird with the ordering here. First of all, I'm generally of the thought that you have your last penalty taker go last, or your best penalty taker go last. Especially someone who's not going to get, scared by the moment. And I think Bukayo Saka is going to get scared by the moment. As no disrespect to him as a player, has he ever taken a penalty in a real game? Does he take penalties for Arsenal? Adi, I don't know.
I haven't seen him take one yet.
So,
but to be fair, this past year I haven't watched as much Arsenal.
No, that's fair. But
I have in the past.
I think it's mostly Aubameyang for them. Maybe, I don't know if they had penalty shootouts in Europa League at any point. I don't think they did.
No.
My point here is that he's 18 years old. He's a fantastic talent. He's a great player. He seems like a nice kid. But why are you throwing him up there? Maybe it's Saka begging to take the penalty. Maybe, right? We don't know. But Raheem Sterling, your experienced goal-scoring winger who's scored a few goals leading up to this game in the tournament, not taking one? Bit weird, Adi. A bit weird. I really thought it was going to be Sterling to take that fifth one, and when Saka started rocking up there to the penalty spot, I was very surprised. Weird to me all around. It's whether it's Southgate making weird picks, whether it's Sterling being a little weenie and not wanting to take one at the cost of his team. I don't know what happened.
So, I mean, I know in the penalty situations I've been involved in, at least at club level and the various competitions I was involved in, the coaches I had generally picked whoever wanted to do the penalties first, because first of all, you don't want a guy that's because if you're not not confident to take it, you're probably going to miss.
You're going to miss. Yeah.
So you usually, as a coach, go with the guy that wants to take the kick or take that. Now, I can't speak to what Gareth Southgate's, what he was thinking or what was going on. Probably Saka wanted to do it. You know what I mean? He was probably, he stepped up.
But do you think it's Southgate's responsibility to be like,
yes,
hold your horses? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It should have been him to be like, no, hold on. You know what I mean? Or at least if he was going to have Saka go maybe
first.
Earlier.
First,
you know
is
what
not
I mean?
I get the argument that yes, if you make your first penalty, you're really in a good spot. But I'm sorry, the last one is the most important one. You want Harry Kane standing on that.
Yep.
Always Tottenham, always a bottle or joke all you want. You want Harry Kane standing on that penalty. And if it's not him, you probably want Sterling, who didn't take one at all. So maybe you don't want Sterling. Maybe Sterling didn't want to take one. And like you said, Adi, if you don't want to take one, you really shouldn't be taking one. Weird all around. But I mean, the game overall, I would say was pretty even in general. I think Italy maybe looked a bit better in the game, especially that second half. Extra time, I think Chiesa coming off hurt them quite a bit.
Yeah.
He was really just bumming up the pitch for them, and he looked really hard to stop. We have to say he's been great all tournament. England obviously got a great start with the goal. I was worried. I saw a scenario where things went really south from there, but I think by the time it was the end of the first half, they looked like they'd really cooled off.
Well, the thing with England was that when they started, right, definitely their tactics shift. The three center backs, the three at the back with the 3-4-3 they were playing, we'll say. It definitely threw Italy for a spin because they were able to clog the midfield up very well with Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips, who both had great games. I mean, they were doing their job, utter workhorses there.
And
having Harry Kane too, given the freedom to drop back because he's a great hold-up player as a striker. You don't see that a lot.
A few things I do want to credit England for, especially in the first half. Yeah, Harry Kane. Look, I don't watch a whole ton of Premier League football. I probably watch Harry Kane play 3 or 4 times a year, maybe, right? But he really has evolved as a player in terms of his ability to come deeper into the field and make things for others. He was doing that really well. he didn't get the ball a whole lot over the course of the game. I don't think he had a single shot, Adi, but
nope.
When he did have the ball, he looked all right. We have to give that to him. And also, yeah, the midfield was really solid. Rice and Phillips. The back line, I think, is also good. Luke Shaw has had a great season. I think Kyle Walker is probably one of the most underrated players for this England team as well, working as both a third center back and then a real right back. I think he's been fantastic all tournament long. And I think that 3-4-3 is really the best formation for England, given the players that they have. I think it's the best formation for them.
Yep. I mean, look, it worked in the beginning. They definitely had Italy off balance. They got that goal. Maybe a little bit of luck there with the deflection off the post, but whatever. It happened. It was a great play. Shocking defending from Italy. First of all, Emerson is no Spinazzola.
How did he last the whole 90 minutes? I cannot
idea.
believe. And the thing is, like, once again, I'm not an expert on like these clubs. Like, if you don't play in Greece, I probably don't watch you play that much. But surely Florenzi like could have come in and done a job. I didn't even know he was in the team. Well, Emerson was tragic.
But remember, Florenzi was injured after that first game, and they probably were concerned. He came in at the very end.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. Fair enough. I forgot about that.
I mean, look, it was tough. Emerson grew into the game, especially in the second half, a lot better.
Well,
but he was
fine
tragic.
Attacking, he's fine. But
he was tragic defensively. Absolutely tragic. And then for once that initial shock wore off and the half wore on, England just seemed okay to pack it in and just sit, and they let Italy get on the ball. And Italy then, once they got the taste of possession and moving the ball around, the mistake Italy made was trying to force the ball constantly down the left side of the field. They were forcing it over there, and I mean with guys like Verratti making runs, Insigne, and even Immobile. But Immobile had a tragic game.
Yeah, I was disappointed, to be honest.
So horrible.
Really disappointed.
And what they should have been doing, and they did, and especially towards the end of the first half and in the second half, was, look, right now, the guy that's making the most happen is Chiesa. Chiesa could almost not put a foot wrong. I mean, he was making great moves, really, really, really threatening the English defense, and they then were sticking with that. When he got hurt, it was like, all right, well, who's going to step up? Who's going to be able to do that? Do what he's doing. Some of the changes that they made, I mean, look, I think Italy was playing for a penalty shootout at some point, because you could definitely see.
I think as soon as Chiesa got hurt, they were.
I mean, it was like Costa was saying in the group chat. Just from the outset, Donnarumma's a better penalty keeper. Of course, as soon as he said that, that's when Pickford makes his first block. I was like, you jinx. But anyway, So that the game plan, like, I will say that Gareth Southgate at least got those tactics right and caught Italy out. But I do find it ironic, and I texted this right before the penalties and right before extra time started. I find it ironic that England plays with 5 defenders and packs the box and parks the bus with less than 30% possession during the game. And it's tactical genius. It's ingenuity, innovative. But Greece does it and wins a cup against not just like mid-table countrysides.
England,
not
England
just Czech Republic.
England had a cakewalk. Greece had to play all the good teams.
Greece played the top teams at the time, not just in Europe but in the world. Okay, and we won the Euro Cup. So the utter hypocrisy just was from Ian Darke was mind-boggling. Not that I'm saying Ian Darke negatively comments towards Greece, but hearing that and hearing them talk about this tactical ingenuity from England, when all we heard when Greece won the Euro was that we were destroying the game. That's absolute bullshit. And it's ridiculous. If England had won this, I would not have allowed any pundit or fan to say anything negative about Euro 2004, because you can't. So in the end, like I said, the best thing for the sport happened. England lost, because the last thing we needed was their pundits, their media, their fans to be even more pompous than they already are, having won almost nothing. But anyway.
I mean, Adi, this is why I root against them. And this is why I'm not surprised. Like, this is the same people who say things like, oh, Olympiakos would be just good enough to stay up in the Premier League. Yeah. And like, oh yeah, Bukhalakis, he was an average player in the championship, probably not very good, probably can't do it for Greece. Like all of this crap. It pisses me off as well. All of the people tweeting it's coming home when England won like a game in the round of 16.
It can't be coming home when it's never been there.
Shout out Casper Schmeichel for saying that.
I tell you what, though. I'll tell you what. You know what? Fine. They can take the cup. It can go home, and they can bring the Parthenon marbles back. How about that? Those should be coming home. Not this cup that never belonged there in the first place because they've never won it. Win it first, earn it.
Yeah.
You know, earn it first, and then you can say it's coming home. But you've never won it, so how can it go home? It's nonsense. Utter nonsense.
Adi, it's not the cup that's coming home. It's football. Football is coming home.
Yeah, whatever. It's coming home.
The game, it's coming home.
Yeah, and you know what just came home to them? The Golden Butso did. So they can have fun. They can enjoy that.
The Golden Butso very much did come home to them.
There was a really sad statistic that they posted before the game. The nonprofit organization, it's a domestic abuse nonprofit, and they posted that when England plays in the country, domestic abuse goes up 26% when England plays, and when they lose, it goes up 36%. So,
God,
horrible statistic. And now with that in mind, like the one thing I thought about when England lost was shit. That's another like 10% of domestic abuse cases. That's like a 10% increase in those cases tonight because of that. It's a terrible statistic. I hope that is false and very much overstated, because if that's true, that's disgusting.
England fans, but anyway, just go to bed. Just go to bed.
Yeah, just go to bed. Also, they closed our fellow colleagues, I'll say, in the podcast network. One of them has a sister that was working in Wembley for the game, and she had mentioned to him in a text that they were shutting down within a 5-mile radius any licensed bar or alcohol serving establishment as soon as the final whistle was over. That was it. Done. Everybody had
London. London would have I mean, it might still fall if they tonight, but like London would have fallen if England won. Like Big Ben would have burned down. Like
Jesus. Did you see the videos of them storming? They didn't have enough stewards.
Yeah, it was crazy before the game as well. Like
they said that it was like 75% capacity. I'm pretty sure every seat in that stadium was full. Every single one. People definitely stormed their way in. I'm glad. Well, I only saw like a couple people were hurt. Thank God it wasn't more. Anyway, that's not much you can do about that. Hopefully there were no more people that got hurt. Anyway, all in all, don't want to take away from what we did see in the Euro Cup final. It was a good final overall. It was very entertaining, and the drama towards the end, especially with the penalties. I'm still like my heart is still racing from watching that. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And I hope I hope the World Cup has the same drama. Anyway,
just without England involved, preferably.
Exactly. Or if they can keep losing. Like, I don't ever want to see them win anything in my life until I see a big dose of humble pie from their pundits and fan base.
And you know that's not coming because.
Yep, I'm waiting for the Steve Pierce. Like I'm waiting for the.
You did it again. Steve Pierce is an Orioles legend.
I mean, sorry, Steve. Oh my God,
amazing pinch hitter. Don't disrespect that man. James
Pierce. I do it every time. I'm waiting for the James Pierce nonsense.
James Pierce going to be like, they should lift Jordan Henderson on.
Yeah,
Jordan Henderson, the like kicking it out of bounds merchant, like doing nothing good for anyway.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, Adi, on a lighter note here, I think you've got a deep dive for us.
I do,
and it's not just any deep dive because sometimes we do deep dives when it's like, oh, the news is heating up. But this player, he's in Greece. We have the patented pictures with the Olympiakos mask in the airport. Lambro unfortunately could not make it. He was watching the Euros with his friends, and we do not blame him for that. But it's Tomas Vaclik, folks, a player that we saw in this tournament, played very well for the Czech Republic, coming to us on a free transfer from Sevilla. He's in Greece. He's going to be playing for Olympiakos. Sa's departure is all but official, it seems, at this point. But Adi, I'm going to let you get into it. You've got a big old deep dive for us, and it looks like you've got some comparisons with Jose Sa as well, the player
That's
that he's
correct.
replacing.
Yeah, that's correct, guys. So Vaclik is here. He's going to be obviously our new number one now that Jose Sa is leaving. There's been a lot of talk about him before we actually brought him in, and I wanted to definitely. I'm not as good with deep dives with goalkeepers. Again, guys, you heard Nico Poledi in the interview. Goalkeeping is a different animal compared to the field position play. So hopefully, I did my best. I'm relying a lot more on the data here. I watched the film. But again, I'm not good at judging because I never played the position. I'm not good at judging what is and isn't comfortable in certain situations. But there was a lot of concern. I don't want to say a lot, actually. Most people were really positive about this. We did have a handful of people that were concerned about the Vaclik transfer, both in the English and Greek social media circles. So I'll just get right into it. So Vaclik, we're looking at 188 centimeters tall, 6'2". He's got a wingspan that's comparable to about the top third. So he's got a pretty large wingspan as well, comparable to about the top third of wingspans among goalkeepers in Europe. He weighs about almost 190 pounds, 187 pounds, which is 87 kilos for the metric folks. Anyway, when it comes to data, you guys watched him in the Euro Cup. He was fantastic. He was great. So his total data just for the Euro Cup, 18 total shots against, 14 saves. He allowed 4 goals. 11 of those saves were reflex saves. Now, what is a reflex save? A reflex save is literally a save in which the goalkeeper has to make a save either at very close distance or has about less than a second of reaction time to make a save. So most of the shots against him required reflex saving or reflex action to save. So you like to see that. His expected conceded goal metric, so the expected goals that we'll say is proper for him to have conceded, 5.5. He only conceded 4, so he was under. We like that metric. It's good. That means he's saving more than he's allowing in. He had 7 exits. That's a metric when the goalkeeper leaves his line to either make a save, deflect a cross, a corner, things like that. So he had 7 of those, and he was averaging 3.5 shots per game against, which is one of the higher average shots per game against in this tournament. So he saw a lot of volume against him and did well to bat it out or save against it. While he was playing for Sevilla, we all know that last year he didn't really play that much. He played, I think, like 1,300 total minutes, so he didn't play many games at all. 24 total shots against him, 8 goals conceded, an expected goal conceded metric of 8.7. So he was still under that, just slightly, but under it still. 16 total saves and 8 reflex. So half of those were reflex save. Again, 7 exits, but averaging almost 4 shots against per game. So again, the volume is high. When he's in goal, he's been seeing a lot of that. So he's not just sitting there playing for a great team that's always on the ball. He's used to pressure. He's used to getting it against him. So you like to see that. Now, the season before, he played a lot more for Sevilla. We know that he was the starter then. 121 total shots against him that season, 85 saves. 38 of those 85 were reflex saves. He conceded 36 goals with an expected goal conceded total of 32. So a little higher than that. That means he was letting in probably a few soft. And some of those few softies were, some of them were bad deflections. I did watch all of them. Some were bad deflections off of his defenders. Some I wouldn't really say were necessarily his fault. A couple, maybe the positioning was a little off. But all in all, not too bad. The goals that he conceded that were of the very low XG were against like Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. So against top clubs, not like minnows. And he doesn't usually let stuff in that he shouldn't, just to be clear. Now, so then the question is, a lot of people were like, well, when Jose Sa came in, Jose Sa was a much better prospect for us. So I looked into that to see if that was true and compare Jose Sa's metrics to this. So take into consideration everything I just told you, just metrics wise. Forget what we've seen of him playing. Just take the metrics. Jose Sa, before he came to Olympiakos in the 2 seasons prior, 44 total shots against, 31 saves, 16 reflex saves. He conceded 13 goals with an expected conceded goal metric of 10.28. So that means he conceded about 30% more than was expected based on the shots against him. That's not too good, okay? That's not any worse than what we see with Vaclik here, okay? Because here in 2019, he conceded 4 more goals than his expected, but it was only 10%, if we're looking in proportions. Sa's was a little bit higher than that coming in. So this really isn't that much different than what Sa looked like coming in. And there's a couple caveats I'll get into after this. The question we're looking at is, can he replace what Sa has done since he got here, which has been tremendous? 3 seasons at Olympiakos, Jose Sa has had 235 shots against him. He's made 189 saves, 88 of those reflex saves, conceded only 45 goals in those 3 years, with an expected conceded goal metric of 64.32. That means the number of opportunities should have tallied 64, but he saved 19 more than he probably should have. So the question is, based on what we've seen, is Vaclik going to translate? Are we going to see that? Well, when we brought Jose Sa in, it was similar to what we're seeing now with Vaclik. Now, here's some of the differences. Here's some things that we see when he plays that match up with Jose Sa. Jose Sa, we know, isn't really good with the ball at his feet. That's been one critique we've all had. Well, Vaclik, having spent some time in Spain, he's and you saw in the Euro too, guys, he's way better with the ball at his feet. So that's one thing that we'll be able to add to our goalkeeper repertoire that we didn't have with Sa, is that we didn't have a guy that could play well. Now, his positioning is good. So one thing with Sa is very eccentric, very vocal. Positioning has always been really good. He's been very aggressive. Vaclik will clear his line, or at least based on what we've seen from the number of exits, he clears his line at a similar rate as Jose Sa does. He might not be as eccentric as him, but he's comfortable and he knows when he has to clear the line. It's difficult for me to determine leadership, though, because I see on the set pieces he's very vocal with what he wants and positioning people. But in open play, I don't see him yelling as much. So it may be a case where we're relying on the center back to do that. So something to bear in mind. So if we start to see some disconnects in the defensive line, something that might be an issue. So keep that in mind as we see Vaclik play for us. And then lastly, I just wanted to address one thing, because people keep getting stuck on Vaclik's wingspan and height as like a determinant of his potential ability for us. I've seen more than almost a dozen people that were commenting on all social medias, hey, his wingspan is a little bit lower than guys like Thibaut Courtois and so-and-so, or even like Peter Cech.
Sorry, people, we're not getting Thibaut Courtois this summer.
Yeah, but even beyond that, even height, they're like, oh, if he's not 190 centimeters, if he's not 6'3", basically, he can't be a good goalkeeper. I have no idea where any of this is coming from. There is zero, and trust me, I spent the time to put the data together. There is zero correlation between height and wingspan and whether or not you're a good goalkeeper. And I want to remind everybody, one of the best goalkeepers to play the game, he's considered one of the best to ever play, Iker Casillas, is not even 6 feet. All right? And he has the shortest wingspan, especially when he was playing, one of the shortest wingspan of goalkeepers. Guillermo Ochoa is not that big, and Guillermo Ochoa is a great goalkeeper as well. I don't know where this came from, but there is zero correlation between height and wingspan and goalkeeping ability. You are just as likely to have a great goalkeeper that's good and under 6'2" or 6'3" as you are that's over. I have no idea where that came from, but it's wrong.
Yeah, well, and a few things just going over what you said, Adi. First of all, I'll stick with the height and wingspan. Didn't you say at the beginning that he's above average in both of those things? You said he was, like 6'2" is not short. It's not.
No, it's not.
He's not.
I understand.
He's
in
not.
Some
he's
leagues.
Not Donnarumma. Like Donnarumma is a mountain of a man, and like we saw, how good it is to have that extra reach. Obviously, that extra reach helps, but as Adi said, there are a lot of good keepers you can make up for that with quick reflexes, which Vaclik, we hope to see that. Like Jordan Pickford is the other end of the spectrum from Donnarumma as well. And we saw both of them do quite well in the penalty shootout today and do quite well this entire Euros tournament. Pickford's by goalkeeper standings, he's a runt. No disrespect, but he's a runt with T-Rex arms. We have to say that. And he's still a good goalkeeper. At least, I mean, he's not great with the ball, but like he's good at, reaching and saving, and because he's got great reflexes. So like it's not impossible to be a great goalkeeper if you're not 6'5". And Vaclik is 6'2". That's completely fine, folks. Another thing, Adi, I wanted to talk about, or I have 2 points actually. You compared Vaclik and Sa, which is obviously we're going to do that, but I think one point to make as well is when we got Sa, he was 25. And Vaclik is now 32. That is definitely something that we need to bring up in terms of like how they're going to project. Like, it's not surprising that we saw Sa get better. And that expected goals conceded stat is absolutely nutty, by the way. I didn't even know that, but that's absolutely crazy. Not really surprising, but like that's elite numbers from him. But, Vaclik is 32, which is not that old for a keeper. We're going to get a few good years out of him, but it just means we're probably not going to see big elevation in performance. Third thing that I want to bring up, and this is sort of with respect to the point you brought up, Adi, about leadership / communication / all that. We've seen it before with the back line. Be patient, Olympiakos fans. Be patient with this guy. If he plays a couple games and lets in a goal because there was a miscommunication with Socrates or with Androutsos or something like that, don't flip out. We saw this last year with the new defenders coming in. Socrates needed a little bit of time to adjust. He's never been a bad defender, but with the set pieces, the guys need to read each other's minds, and that doesn't happen immediately. With this zonal marking, the players need to know where they all are and where they need to be. And with the keeper, it's a little bit different, but you still need to have that connection with your back line. And some of that can be done by talking, but some of it is just innate. Your defender is going to know if you're coming out for this. They don't need to hear it. They're going to know with Sa. They know Sa is coming out to get that. That has to be developed, especially if Vaclik is maybe a little bit less aggressive. Sa is an above average aggressive keeper. He likes to come out sometimes even when he shouldn't and knock that ball away, which is not a bad thing. It's much better than being afraid and, getting stuck in no man's land and conceding a goal. But Vaclik is going to need to adjust. The defenders are going to need to adjust to playing with him. So if he eats a couple weird goals on set pieces or, something like that, when the ball is sort of rolling around the box and ends up in the back of our net, don't lose your shit. It's going to take a few games for him to get integrated with the team, and it's completely normal. And we saw it last year with the set pieces. It's not a long-term problem.
Yep. No. So we're going to have some patience, but fortunately he's coming early. So he's going to be coming a little bit early on, and he should have plenty of time. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. So he'll have plenty of time to gel with the team, to communicate with the back line, or at least learn how to communicate with the back line. And I don't think that'll be too much of a problem. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens going on. But I always do this with the deep dives. Am I positive on this guy? Do I think he's going to pan out? Yes, I'm positive and I'm going to echo something Costa said on previous podcasts and in our group chat. I think at the very least, he even if he's not, let's say, better than Jose Sa, he is at the very least there. We at least moved laterally with this. Even if we didn't get somebody that's better, we got somebody that's just as good, with the caveat that he's better with the ball at his feet. So.
And Adi, I
guess it's as good as we could expect.
Right. And so I think I know what you're going to say, but usually we do the deep dives and the player hasn't signed yet. But, you get the question of, Adi, do you sign the player? Do you want him to come in at this price or whatever? He's on big wages. He just had a good Euros, but I'm pretty happy with this one. What do you think?
Yep. So we still haven't gotten confirmation what his actual wages are. Yeah. But even if we do pay him more than we've paid any other goalkeeper in the past, let's assume it's that stupid sky high figure of 2.5 million. Let's assume it's that high, which I don't think it is. I think it might just be 2 or close to 2. I think it's worth it because we're pushing as a club, as a team. We are pushing beyond the limits of what Greece has right now. Despite what AEK, PAOK, Aris, Panathinaikos are doing. Our sites are Mount Olympus, guys. They're down here. We're looking at the Corifí. And that's the truth. In order to do that, and in order for us to really cement ourselves and continue growing as an international club, an international brand, this is the type of thinking we have to have. And we're not talking about, spending money on transfers. No, these aren't mutually exclusive things, okay? You can make good transfers, but still have a sustainable budget. And we do. We have a sustainable budget. We're getting great deals for players. He's coming in on for a free. We might pay him higher wages, but we're not paying a fee. So you take one with the other. And this is the type of business we have to do. We'll probably end up selling them off, and that's it. That's what we got to do.
And that's exactly it. I mean, we're going to get money in for Sa, plus a sell-on potentially. That's another, question. Even if the money isn't what we want, we talked about this on previous episodes, like we want more than 10 million, whatever. We can basically reallocate that to pay off Vaclik's contract, or a good portion of it. The traditional way of thought would be you allocate that to sign a goalkeeper, and you say, okay, we just got X dollars for Sa. We're going to spend that on a new player. It's just sort of different. It's like an FM. You drag the little budget bar over a little bit over to wages. It's not a big deal. It's very easy to do.
Yep. And
it seems like we knew that. Like, a free transfer is a good bargain. This is a player with an international resume. People know who he is after this tournament. I think it's really good. I like this move a lot. I think for both, people knowing the club and also as a player, I think this is really good.
Yep, I agree 100%. Look, guys, we have made some pretty solid moves. Like, forget the Tiquinho injury, bringing in Vaclik, looking at some of the other players we've been, bringing in, like, I should say the introduction of Markovic, who looks like he's going to be a part of the team. Chumic. Look at what's coming together. Some of the youth products. Apostolopoulos, I don't think he'll be part of the first team this year, to be perfectly honest with you, which is why we're looking at a left back.
It's these moves that we made 2 years ago, and they're now coming to fruition. They sort of go under the radar. I mean, not for people like us, because we're like, Markovic breathed in Serbia today. Let's do a deep dive. But like, this stuff has been in the works, and we're probably going to, we've signed a couple players this summer that you might not hear about in the first team this year, but then they're going to pop up in the future, and it's going to be like, who is this guy? And we can sell him on for 8 to 10 million euros. That is Marinaki's masterclass in terms of economics, in terms of business, in terms of sustainable transfers and wages for the club.
Yep, it definitely is. And we did get a question from Greg Sirachi on Twitter. How would you guys assess the transfer activity of all clubs in the Greek Super League so far? Has the league overall improved with incoming talent this window? Will we see better competition from clubs like OFI? And how do you assess our rivals' transfers like Panathinaikos, PAOK, AEK, Aris, etc.? So, look, I think it goes without saying, first of all, the moves we've made as a club. We also have right now more resources with how we've done in Europe, but it's expected that we should still outperform. But remember, guys, there are some good coaches now that are here. All right. There are some solid coaches that have come in to do work in the Greek Super League. And for the resources available to teams like PAOK, AEK, and Aris and Panathinaikos, I think they've made, or at least some of them have made, some pretty good moves. Now, remember, guys, PAOK is getting it's 7 million euro they're getting from the Giannoulis transfer because Norwich got promoted. So it was a mandatory what do they call that? Obligation to buy if they got promoted. So they're getting the 7 million from there, and they've started making moves. They started with a couple of free transfers. They took Nelson Oliveira from AEK, which I think is a great move for them. I think he didn't do super well at AEK this past season, but I think he'll do well under Lucescu. Remember, Lucescu, the title-winning coach for PAOK, is back. All right, and he is a good coach. He is a really good coach. So Nelson Oliveira under him, I think they do I think they're going to do quite well in addition to what they already have if they don't lose any important pieces. And then they also brought in a guy from Dnipro for free, Lucas Taylor for right back, which is another position where they suffered a bit from. So they've made a couple of moves, plus Tsimas from Asteras Tripoli. I don't know the fee. I know it was cheap though, like something like 500 or 800K.
Transfers like that are always bargains.
Yeah,
like you always get your money's worth.
But Tsimas is a good player. He's 20 years old. So I think that was a good move by PAOK. So PAOK hasn't regressed in my opinion. I think that they've improved at the very least.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say that, but we'll see if they sell all their young players right before the end of the European qualification again, like they did last year. But no, in all seriousness, I totally agree with you. I think, to be honest, I haven't paid that much attention to like the lower teams, but PAOK, AEK, Panathinaikos, they seem to be bringing in players that are going to make those teams better. They seem to be addressing, where they need to get help and bringing the right player in, or at least the right position in. And of course, Lucescu being back, obviously, Pablo Garcia, you will be missed, my friend. Always good fun when Pablo Garcia is coaching PAOK, but Lucescu is a serious coach. He's won before. And I think we should still win the league, right? I'm going to be pissed if we don't, but will it be by 30 points? Maybe not. Will PAOK do something in the conference league? Maybe. We'll be rooting for them, right? Like we need the coefficient points.
Well, even AEK, remember that AEK hired I think what's the guy's name? The Serbian coach, Milojevic, the Red Star, the old Red Star coach, I think it was, and he's also a good coach. He's not a bad coach either. And they made a couple of interesting moves. They brought in the Volos center back, Gerasimus Mitoglu, 21 years old, guys. And he was pretty good.
They brought in the MMA fighter.
And they also brought in the MMA fighter, Zavelas, from Alanyaspor. I think they paid like 300K or something. Big fee.
Not a bad
transfer.
For this guy. It's not a bad transfer.
No, it's not.
AEK.
Look, AEK's defense was tragic last season. Okay, Lambro. Lambro coming in here. I thought you were supposed to be sleeping, buddy. Anyway,
and when Italy wins, you do not sleep. Lambro's staying up all night, baby.
Yeah, AEK has a huge history of choking in finals, like the English. You're not wrong, but look, at least they're addressing things that we've pointed out that were lacking for them in the past. They had a good core. They're not losing most of the core except for Oliveira. Okay, they lost Oliveira. They lost Kristicic, the center midfielder. That who now is at Red Star, by the way, but he was a solid midfielder to start off, but then things kind of, we'll say they didn't really work out. They had that winger Daniele Verde who they let go, or no, they didn't let go. They sold him for like 500K or something to an Italian team. But the moves they've made, they picked up another defensive midfielder, the French guy Letalèche, or however you say his name. Hey, definitely not a bad pickup. And then besides Savela Samitoglu, they got a new goalkeeper that they actually paid some money for. I mean, I think about €1 million. Stankovic from Salzburg. I think but no, sorry, it was the Austrian Salzburg, not Germany. So a solid pickup for them. So AEK has made the moves where we said in the past they should have been making the moves. Remember, they have a strong core. They have solid midfielders overall, right? Starting with Galanopoulos, they have good wingers. Look, Albanese had great energy, especially towards the end of the season. Levi Garcia, arguably one of the best wingers in the league. If you know what I mean? That's another. And then Karim Manzarifard, a top finisher as well.
Good signing. Yeah.
So they have a good core. They just needed to fix the defense and then also get a new goalkeeper. So I think AEK has made some positive moves again, even with Savet. Like they basically have a new center back duo because they got rid of what was that guy's name? Chigrinsky, I think.
Well,
They
he was
still have.
ancient.
Yeah, he was ancient. And so, but you know what? The one thing that I still think is kind of dumb that they got rid of Vasilopoulos, and he's now at Atromitos, and he was like the only right back that was worth anything there. But for some
a good
reason,
transfer for Atromitos, we have to say.
yeah, I don't know. That's
good
a
for him
different
as
thing.
well. He's been
But overall,
loaned out to every country in Europe by Ike for the last 10 years. He's finally got a team where he's probably going to be able to sit and play and compete for to stay up in Greece to get in that top 6. So good for him. But yeah, I think Ike have done reasonably well. Once again, it's the same boat as Pauk, where it's like you're gearing up for Conference League, it looks like. And, I want to see something serious. Let's see it. I not expecting a whole lot, to be honest. I'm expecting them to be more competitive with us. Probably going to be harder to go as long as we did without losing a game this year. We're probably not going to win the league by as many points. But we got to see it in Europe, man. And maybe we will, and it'll be great. I really don't. I know Lambro tries really hard to care about the coefficient, but at the end of the day, he just hates Pauk and Ike so much, which is completely fair. But honestly, if these lot can beat a couple teams in Europe and do their thing in the Conference League, this type of setup is made for teams like Ike and Pauk to pick up some coefficient points. So really, hopefully these moves translate into something. I am bordering on optimistic, but we'll see.
I'm not going to go into Panathinaikos because they're not involved in a European competition, so I don't really care, even though they're our rivals. But Aris is the one I'm worried about because Aris had a team that competed and looked good. I mean, their fans, as Lambro brought up, might be, they always think that they should be competing and they should be doing something at least for the league. And they did. They had a nice core. Okay, they in the beginning they lost. They tumbled out of Europe against Kolosko Valivka, which was disgusting and disgraceful. But they started to put it together during the year, and the moves we're seeing from them not so good. They brought in a new goalkeeper from Portugal, Denise or something like that. I don't know anything about him. 34 years old. They brought in a right winger from Dynamo Zagreb, who's almost 30 years old. He's got an interesting name. I don't know nothing about him. He's at Harjovic. They promoted a couple kids from their academy. Some Greeks, like to see, because they didn't have too many Greeks playing for them last year.
Martinez, is he promoted?
They signed Martinez, but I don't know if he's part of the first team, to be honest with you. I haven't. Again, we'll see more as time goes on. I don't pay attention to their tryouts, but I haven't seen mention of him almost anywhere. Then there's some interesting that they sold Lindsay Rose, who was statistically with Y-Scout was the best center back in Greece. Remember, Lindsay Rose is a guy that doesn't do anything particularly well, but he does everything at least decent, which is why he won that accolade through Y-Scout. They also got rid of Tony Datkovic, played a good number of minutes for them, 27 years old. They sold him for pennies to the US. They sold him to Real Salt Lake in the MLS here. So Lindsay Rose, I think they sold for like 550,000, something like that, to a Polish club, Legia Warsaw.
It's Robert Blackburn FC,
Yeah. But yeah, and so it's just interesting because actually no, Tony Datkovic didn't play for them at all. They loaned him to Cartagena.
Yeah,
I think in the second division.
Hearing his name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rose is arguably one of the most integral players to their team, up there with Bruno Gama.
Yeah.
And he can play as a center back or a right back. We've seen him as both. He has a weird knack for scoring goals when he plays against us, despite being a defender.
Well, the big loss for them is Xander Silva, because they loaned him in. They brought him in from West Ham.
Right.
Loaned him in, and that loan's over. So
is he a free agent now, though? Or is he just going to...
No, I think he's still. I think he's still on contract. I can probably pull it up here.
They should really try to extend him because he's 24 years old. Surely West Ham don't really want anything with him anymore.
So Y-Scout has him under contract until next summer at West Ham. So he's still under contract.
They should try to get him for another year and then get him to stay permanently on a free. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, he was a solid player for them. So yeah, I mean, look, all in all, I think that Ike and Balk have gotten better, all things considered. Now, if Balk loses, I don't think they're losing Solis, to be honest with you. I don't think he's going especially for the money that everyone there thinks they're getting. I don't think he's going. I think he's going to be in Greece for one more season, which is good for them. But they also still need a new striker. Unless Oliveira is going to play that role.
Do it for him, probably. I think that's probably what they have in mind, because the
maybe
Kremenchuk is gone.
He's gone, yeah, and he had said on social media he wasn't going back.
Yeah,
not that he didn't want to, but I guess he was
just
going back to his
club.
So I mean, we'll see what happens. But so far, I think that both Ike and Balk have made improvements. Poor Asteras have been pillaged so far, because even Kotsiras is gone.
He's with Panathinaikos now, isn't he?
He's now at Panathinaikos. So
it's a good sign.
Asteras had a good run for a while. I thought maybe if they built on what they had, they could have been a team that competed for maybe a European spot, but I don't know if that's going to happen next year.
Father Time's going to catch up to old Baradas eventually, I think. The window's closing.
Oh, yeah. That head is getting shinier and shinier, though, every year.
Well, yeah, I mean, it should be interesting. Really, when you brought up Adis, I was like, besides Lindsay Rose going, I hadn't heard anything. So a bit worried about them, really. You think that they're going to build on that success, and well, there's still time in the transfer window, to be fair to them. But anyway, what is Vimo saying here? Adi.
1 pound fish? I have no idea. I don't know what this is.
So I'm assuming it's something to do with Euros. But anyway, I think we're going to wrap up, Adi. I think we've pretty much covered it all. We spent we spent more time talking about those other teams than we have in some time. Remember, we used to do like full breakdowns of like Ike versus Zorya Luhansk. Yeah. Alex Kutakos says heartbreaking. La Mia will finish above Asteras. Alex, our thoughts. I don't think it's that tragic, buddy. I think they'll be all right. They probably.
I think you'll be mid-table, solidly. Yeah, solidly mid-table, probably. We'll see what happens, but in the end, that's we have literally hit everything. But before we close up, because I think it's the only thing we didn't talk about was I just feel terrible. Even though I wanted England to lose, I think it's better for the sport that they did. The one person I feel bad for is 19-year-old Bukayo Saka.
Doesn't feel bad for Costa at all. My God. The disrespect. I feel a little bad.
Costa cares more about Belgium than England.
Costa was literally the one putting like "It's coming home" in the banner like at the end of every episode, and I'm just like, I'm such a good person taking the high road and not putting an "It's not coming home" banner. Oh God, no, I'm taking the piss. Anyway,
no, you just put the Italian flag as your background.
Yes, exactly. Well, no, I feel bad for all three of them, to be honest. Like, and that's just as much as I shit on like England as a team and want them to lose, like I genuinely don't hate most of the players. Like Rashford is a really good guy and like a nice dude, like really hard to hate. Sancho like seems like a fun guy, and they all like Rashford was a bit tragic, we have to say, just like with a little run up and then hitting the bar was not great. And Sancho and Saka getting saved. But yeah, Adi, you'll probably say it better than me, but yeah, poor Saka, man. Like I hope he can recover from that, because it's really tough to do that.
Yeah, it really is. And also the social media stuff right after the game, the attacks against Rashford, like guys, just stop.
It's the Daily Mail. It's literally like the Daily Mail writers, like from the burner accounts, like Rashford, we're gonna kill your family. We hate you.
Yeah, like the dude was relegated to the bench by Gareth Southgate, literally thrown on the field just so he could take a penalty.
That's what I'm thinking as well. It's kind of hard to just walk on the pitch and take a tournament-altering penalty. I don't think it's as easy as like, oh, Marcus, you're gonna shoot, you're gonna take pens, go get out there. I don't think it's as easy mentally or physically as like they're making it out to be. I understand, like, you sub them off, but like it's a tough situation. Please, like, damn well people are going to send death threats to these poor kids' houses and stuff. Like, that shit can't be tolerated. As much as I want England to lose, like, it sucks to see it go out that way. In my perfect world, it would have been Harry Kane missing the penalty, and then I could have made a fun joke. Another comment from Demo here. Good on the England fans to boo Chiesa for faking an injury as he limped off the field to get subbed. Yeah, I saw some people saying like Chiesa, there was nothing there, like he flopped, and he literally like couldn't walk and had to come off the pitch. 3 Lions had 3 kittens take the PKs. Good leadership.
So true.
Sad.
So true. But
Saka especially, like I said.
They loved Sterling. Sterling's only contribution was diving every time he got touched in the penalty
He was
area.
diving all over the place. He tried to recreate the softest penalty I've ever seen against Denmark. But
yeah, that's a different story.
The tournament is over. I got what I wanted. So I can't speak very much, right? Thank you, everybody, for listening, especially if you've made it this far. We'll be back soon. The friendly is in a couple of days, so we'll probably talk a little bit about that. And then we have the interview with Philip next weekend, probably a little bit earlier than this, but we're really excited to hear from him about ODC. So enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. Hopefully you can catch the friendly, and we'll see you very soon.
You just listened to an episode of the Gate 7 International Podcast, a podcast connecting Olympiakos fans from Brussels to Tokyo, from Toronto to Geneva. We are 4 Olympiakos fans from every corner of the world, bringing you news and interviews of the team you love in English. With new episodes twice a week, you will never miss out on the latest updates and stories of the team you love. If you liked what you heard, make sure to follow us on social media at Gate7INTL. Give us a subscribe on YouTube or even leave a review on all our podcast channels. Until next time, this is our team, our city and our story. Thrylos είσαι. Στο μυαλό κάτι μαγικό.